My name is Kieran DeMasi, and for my main project, I did vegetarian eating, good food on a budget. So I guess I should first describe why I am a vegetarian. There are a lot of reasons. There are good health benefits, factory farming, and all of these other things. So I always kind of wanted to be a vegetarian. I think it's more sensible. Personally, I think it's for me. And so I did this for my main project, which is a food blog for vegetarian food for several reasons. One of them is when I first became a vegetarian, and when I was thinking about becoming a vegetarian, my mom was like, "Oh, you're just gonna starve. What are you gonna eat? You're not gonna get enough protein." And so it was like, "I'll show you." Another thing is I wanted to show her and myself that when I go to college, I can be independent and I can budget. So what is this blog? The idea came to me because of last year for Miss Dorso's English class. We had to do blog posts every once in a while. And so on this blog, every day, where, spacebar?
Yeah.
Okay, so every day I posted kind of a recipe that I did or made that day. So this one was potato leek soup, and then I did how I made it. So kind of mainly for myself, but also to kind of inform anyone else that's interested in becoming a vegetarian. Oh my gosh. So what kind of food did I make? I made a lot of different food. As you just saw, I made potato leek soup one night. I made dal a couple nights, or one night. And then I also made salad, which I tried to avoid mainly, because it's kind of like the stereotype for vegetarians. We're always eating salad. So over the course of the 3 weeks, I had a few cooking disasters. I guess today is a good kind of example. I planned on bringing cookies here, but I thought they were a bit too buttery, so I brought them in for my class, and I found out they loved it. So I guess one of the things I learned is to not be as judgmental with my food. So at the end of my May project, I had a big day, which was kind of the culmination of the 3 weeks. I invited a couple friends to my house, and I made a lot of food for them. So we started off with chips and guac, and then we had some salad, and then we had apples and squash, some peanut noodles, which I thought a lot of people eat, but when I served them to people, they were like, "Peanuts on noodles? This isn't a thing."
It was a surprise.
It was interesting.
But people liked it, obviously. And then at the end, I served homemade ice cream, which is ice cream made with milk alternatives, which is another example of me being a bit too harsh on myself. I thought they were a bit too sweet, and then they were gone. So, although that day was kind of stressful, it took me like 3 hours to actually make the meals, and like 2 days to plan it, because I had to be like, what do non-vegan, non-vegetarians eat? Like, what allergies do people have? I had to like make up another thing for the 2 people that didn't like peanuts. I had to get rid of mushrooms for people that don't like mushrooms. So I kind of found out where my mom's, I'm not running a restaurant here. I can now kind of relate to that. 17 years of my life, and I finally get it. So now onto the budget part. So I originally wanted to be around $175 a week, but the first week, or for my family of 4, But the first week I needed to buy spices, so that kind of bumped me up a lot. And then the second week, my sister came home from college and was like, we don't have enough food, I want snacks all the time. But the good news is, even though we spent like $300 the second week for my sister, she got enough stuff to make snacks that when she went to my dad's halfway through the week and stayed there, I got to use all of that and all of those ingredients she left to last me through the third week. So I still kind of kept the budget. The biggest kind of difficulty was how I did the blog. I don't know if I'm a tech dinosaur now, or if they're just not that user-friendly, but halfway through they had an update, and I could not figure out how to put any more photos. So I have photos, they're just not on my blog, so now you see all of these recipes and no photos, and you're just like, this could be delicious or not. Another, probably, what I thought at the beginning was going to be the biggest difficulty is that my kitchen is under renovation, so I had to use a hot plate and a convection oven, which is why the first week I was using other people's kitchens. But I realized that since one of my ideas was I wanted to last through college, maybe this could be the perfect chance to learn how to use the utilities I would have in college. So throughout the course of this project, I learned obviously how to cook and how to cook vegetarian. But I also learned that making mistakes is natural, and it's something to learn off of. And then I guess that's it. So.
Kieran, you talking about doing the blogging and what a good exercise it was. Is it publicly available?
Yes.
If so, have you had feedback from people who followed you?
It is publicly available, but it is not very advertised. So I gave the URL to a lot of people, and then I had like no views, like very spotty views, like once a week. I was like, oof. So, like I said, I mainly made this for myself, so I was like, eh. So now, wherever I am, I can go on and be like, huh, what was that recipe I made? And now I can check. So it's basically my own personal online cookbook. Yes.
That was great. Did you say that you were cooking for your family too?
Yeah.
So you were just vegetarian eating, you were preparing meals for other people too.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you were talking about your mom. Did you feel pressure every night when you were cooking for people, or were you relaxed? Were you a relaxed cook? How were you? What's your temperament with your convection oven and your hot plate? How was it? I'm proud of you too, because I think it's not. I have had to cook under circumstances like that and feed people.
Well, I guess I felt a lot of pressure like the first 5 minutes when I had to like make it a kitchen and like clear off working space. But then after that, I just like played very loud music, and then no one bothered me. I was like set.
So you enjoyed cooking?
Mm-hmm.
Great.
So
Yes.
I've also cooked in crazy situations, not like, like France where you're on a thing that you think could fall over. But you also cooked in other people's kitchens. In mine, I have your carrot scraper. How is it to cook? I find that incredibly stressful.
Oh yes. That is why after the first week I was like, hot plate
So
service.
it's better to be in your own hot plate and convection oven than in somebody else's kitchen.
Mhm.
Is that, I was curious after all that, because I even in my mother's kitchen, I become pretty focused.
Mhm.
So your family was okay with becoming a vegetarian too?
Well, I wasn't really forcing my family to only eat what I make. So my mom would be like, yeah, so my mom would be like, oh, you're making, like, I don't know, some strange thing today. I'm gonna be down the street. I'll text you later. I was like, fine, more for me. Yeah.
Were you concerned about the nutritional values of your meal? And so you were talking about the proteins. What did you introduce in your meals to supply the proteins?
Well, my family for some reason just has like a stockpile of like canned beans, so I was like, oh, I can use this for this. So I just kind of like ate into that stockpile. Every time like my family goes through like a smoothie craze, my mom is like, oh, why don't you put some protein powder in it? Let's go to the health food store and get that. So I wasn't really concerned with protein because like when you're a vegetarian, you're putting it in things intentionally. You're kind of like, wow, protein is everywhere. It's in smoothies, it's in beans, nuts, like everything that I made.
Doesn't actually match up with animal protein. I'm a vegetarian.
Yeah.
I know it's that. It serves that. You have to supplement.
Yes.
What was the inspiration for the recipes that you?
How I was feeling that day.
So did you improvise, or did you find some recipes other places, or?
Sometimes I improvised, but sometimes I would be like, I feel like I want like stuffed peppers. I would like go on and and go online and I'd like look up 4 or 5 different recipes for stuffed peppers. Like some of them would be with meat and some of them would be without, and I just kind of like pick and choose because subbing meat for meat substitute is pretty easy. Just like subbing eggs for olive oil is just like 1 teaspoon or 1 tablespoon for 1 egg. So it's not impossible to just kind of improvise. Yeah. Yes.
What was your favorite dish that you made, both from a cooking standpoint and from an eating standpoint?
Potato leek soup, because it's a 1-pot meal and it goes good with all occasions, which is why I chose it for this. Allie, I believe your hand was up.
So last year you did your 20% project on Irish cooking.
I did.
So did you make like a lot of connections between the two? Did you repeat recipes that you liked last year or develop them, or did your grandmother help, or how'd your grandmother feel?
The only meal I repeated was, I actually repeated 2, I guess. I repeated baked apples and I repeated potato leek soup,
right.
Obviously. Wait, did I build on them? Well, I had to take things out of potato leek soup because normal potato leek soup, traditional potato leek soup, has like 2 sticks of butter in it to make it extremely creamy. But when I made vegetarian potato soup, or when I was doing this project, I was like, oh, like, since I'm doing vegetarian, why not like go the extra mile and make every other meal vegan or whatever. So instead of drowning my leeks in butter, I was like a little bit of oil, and then I just kind of sauteed it. And then my grandmother helped a lot. She offered me some of her resources from, I forget which cooking school she went to. It was like the Natural Gourmet or something, it's in the city. But she kind of like gave me 3 really large binders and then offered me some weird stories about when she had to make homemade seitan turkey. For those of you who are not familiar, seitan is wheat gluten protein. Any other questions? Comments?
So is your blog, could you show some of your blog about from different pages of it? Or?
Yeah. I tried to just do that so that you get kind of a variety. Like in depth. I don't know if it's blocked, but I can certainly try.
You still have as much energy as you did 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
It's always good food. Yeah.
Oh, wait. Yes, that was
That's the URL.
probably the biggest difficulty, was finding a URL, because WordPress is the worst. And apparently 90% of WordPress is vegetarian blogs. It took me like 3 hours to find this. So this is what I did for my big day. And then I linked it to the pages for the recipes. Oh, what just happened?
You're the pressing down
Okay.
the wheel.
There's your ice cream. Nice cream.
Yep. And then vegan apple and squash, banana bread, homemade pickles,
Wow.
Nice.
stir
It's
fry,
really fancy.
vegetable
It looks
soup,
good.
Oh, slow down. Looks great.
flax bread, because it's very rich in omega-3, which is good for you.
I think you have a good book ready for college kids.
Quinoa stuffed peppers.
The magic of quinoa.
Yes, the quinoa is also very good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Just need to add a lot of seasonings.
Is this your first, did you just become a vegetarian for this project?
I was actually a vegetarian earlier in the school year, but because of midterms and kind of a lot of stress, I was like, I can't focus on what I'm eating right now. I don't care. And then I just I kind of gave it up. But I've kind of regretted it for a lot of reasons. So I just wanted to go back, and my mom was like, no, we have a freezer full of meat. Yes?
So I just have to share with you, because I find you have to plan a lot, right, for vegetarian food. You have to, grains take a long time, and one of the things that was a real game changer for me was a Japanese rice cooker. I'm just gonna say, in terms of the plug-in, something hot, you can mix almost anything in. People love crock pots too. I don't know much about crock pots, but this, if you continue, and it seems you love to cook, and that's wonderful. It's a wonderful thing to love. And but the rice cookers are great because you can always have a hot grain right there, and then you can just quickly add to it. So.
Yes. I keep trying to convince my mom that we need one, and so does my sister.
They're not expensive. I have
Yeah,
an
but
extra
then-
one if you want.
But then she's like, there's no counter space, and I'm like, we can make counter space. We need this.
Take one to college with you.
You know, you really made a good point initially when you said, salad. People really don't eat just salad. Vegetarian food, you really want the hot meals, and came up with really good meals. I think that's part of them as well.
Thank you. Allie.
So in terms of college, because you said you kind of wanted to do this for the future, it'd be interesting to see if you could like make money off of this. Because I have a friend who's in college who has made money by like baking for all of her friends.
Ooh. I feel like the difference between
College
making,
kids don't have money.
making
No, she makes a lot of
vegetarian-
money.
vegetarian dinners and then like baking.
Well,
It's
it's
different.
like vegetarian desserts or something. I don't know.
Vegetarian desserts are like 90% of desserts.
I know, which is like, wait, are there non-vegetarian desserts?
Are
Yes,
you,
there
are you
are.
throwing bacon and something? Then
Oh yeah, bacon.
Yeah, I make that.
You said that one of your intentions was to make it on a budget, but like, does that mean that vegetarian food is generally more expensive, or?
that's like the mindset that people can't be vegetarian because it costs so much money. Because you're buying a lot of fresh produce, and that generally does not have a long shelf life. So if you do it, you need to be committed. But it's not outrageously expensive, it's about the same.
How did you pick which stores you were going to buy food from?
I didn't really have a lot of control. My mom was like, we're gonna go shopping. And then I was like, okay, where are we going? And then she's like, I get to choose. And then I would be like, Mom, this is Whole Foods. This isn't a budget. And then the next week she was like, we're going to the ShopRite in the back of Hoboken because I have stuff to do in like 20 minutes. And I was like, okay. And then that was it. I had no control.
Great job.